Let's have a look at this 4-day working week. I want to know this. We talk a lot about workers' rights. We talk a lot about workers' mental health, more productivity for the worker. The worker can, they can be more efficient and they can be much more productive if they can squeeze it all into 4 days rather than 5, longer weekends or whatever day you choose to take off. I want to ask this question. What is in it for the employer? What's in it for the employer? And I'm particularly talking to you if you... Look, there's going to be some jobs this cannot ever apply to. I don't imagine... I heard somebody this morning, it couldn't apply to teachers. Oh, yes, it could. Have you not seen the way the unions can negotiate like that with the stormtroopers? It's very, very easy to do. Don't count that one out. Doctors, well, if they were forced to work 4 days a week, they'd have to do an extra day from what they're doing at the moment. So it wouldn't apply there. But there's loads of areas we agree it couldn't apply. But there's lots of areas that it could. Now, look, I'm a bit kind of laissez-faire, a bit liberal on this. If you can come up with an agreement with your boss that 4 days works for everyone concerned, it isn't for me or the government to step in and say, no, I'm sorry, you can't do that. That's not how we work. We're a liberal democracy. It's up to individuals to negotiate their terms and their conditions. And if they can do it and it's favourably to both sides, then I'm not going to have a problem with that. But I am intrigued, not where this story starts, but where it kind of ends. Because what starts out as quite optional will soon become the norm. And if it becomes the norm, where there is no taboo in saying I'm only free for 4 days to work, then I can only see that becoming a problem for employers, and particularly in the hospitality sector. It's all very well saying, well, you can just do your 40 hours, which would normally be 8 hours a day, do 10 hours a day for 4 days a week, so everybody's happy. But the employer has then got to find somebody else to cover that day. And finding somebody to cover that day that you're not there would mean employing somebody just for 1 day a week. Now, there might be people who are happy to work 1 day a week, but I bet you that's a tricky one when you're trying to put a staff rota together. A friend of mine runs a pub, and he says on any given week it's hard enough to put a staff rota together, let alone bringing all this tomfoolery into the mix as well. But workers are to be given new rights to demand this the 4-day thing under a new law planned for the autumn. The Daily Telegraph, who broke the story, understands the system of compressed hours, which lets an employee work their contracted week's hours in 4 days rather than 5, will be included in the package of new workers' rights. Now, workers' rights, fantastic. We got workers' rights. No one's going to argue with workers' rights, right? Is that, yeah? That's how it works these days. What about employers' rights? So I'm particularly talking to you if you are the person that does the hiring. What does that mean for you in terms of rotas, in terms of staff retention, in terms of being able to create the atmosphere and the stable workplace that you need? I can see a problem, and a problem that will probably get worse. So sounds great. Hey, do it in 4 days. I mean, people have had those conversations for years, haven't they? Why do I could do these hours. But the workplace is not just about your rights. The workplace is also a workplace. It is a business. It functions on many, many levels. And that level isn't just about you as the employee. You're an intrinsic part of what is a big pie chart of various reasons and planks of rationale that have to be ticked in order to make the workplace, well, work, right? 0344 499 1000. And that's the bit that's always missed from this conversation. I can just see, Angela Rayner preening her whiskers on this one, saying, look, isn't it great, workers? There is a big employer at the end of all of this, and they're the person that's really going to cop it. And when you work as an employee, you don't do so in isolation. You're part of a company, you're part of a business, you're part of a setup, you're part of an empire, however big it might be. That's also crucial. That's a factor in your employment. Your employment does not stop and start with you. There are other factors to look at as well.